we have a session on harnessing digital technologies to end world hunger by Ms. Shefali Sonpar. Ms. Shefali is a recognized digital transformation expert helping insurers innovate and evolve in the face of disruption. Shefali has held global leadership roles across business and technology with Fortune 500 companies. She is an international speaker and cited expert on the subjects of technology and innovation. She is known for pushing innovation boundaries to improve customer experience and deliver enhanced business outcomes. At a personal level, she harbors a deep interest in nurturing talent and has received global awards for her efforts towards inclusion and diversity. Over to you, Shefali, for your session.
Namaste, and thank you so much for having me in this exquisite forum. I'm just putting my timer to be sure that I don't get too late and to kind of go rounding in. But, when this topic came to me, how is hunger, the world hunger? I mean, it's like solving the world hunger problem, right? But it's a real problem. We all know that there is a tremendous inequality in the supply and availability of food in the world. Over the last 15 years, different stages of revolutions from white revolution to green revolution has happened. But the impact of those revolutions have been very localized. There are certain countries and geographies that have an overproduction of food, whereas there are others who, even if they do produce, either the food goes bad because of lack of storage, or it's not the right kind of produce that gives the correct or the holistic nutrition. And so solving the world hunger problem, while it sounds like a very global statement, it is a challenge. There are different levers, local and global, that can help move the effect further. But most importantly, the area of my personal passion, technology. Technology can create a definite shift and measurable shift in how we can make those who need food available to it. I'm going to divide the next 10-15 minutes into three broad parts. The first part of hunger is production of food. The second part of solving hunger is getting access to that food. And the third part of world hunger problem is the fact of consuming and the way you accept that food. So I'm going to address each one of them independently. Production. Food production as an industry has moved multifold over the last almost 20 years. If we bring back our great-grandmothers and take them to any of the restaurants or into a aisle mall, chances are she's not going to recognize most of the things that are happening today. Peas coming out of tins, corn flakes being processed into thin sheets and served as breakfast cereal. There has been a huge shift in the way we process food. And the biggest aim of processing food is twofold. One is to change the taste value or the appeal value, and two, to increase the longevity of the food such that the corn that otherwise would have gone bad within a week or two is freeze-dried, pressed into thin sheets, vacuum packed into a packet. And voila, you have your ever favorite cornflakes. Today, we are talking about producing food in aquaculture, the most controversial GMO, which basically gives more product per plant. The problem of increased production with the right use of fertilizers, the right use of soil, creating the correct environment, has to a very large extent been brought down to precise science. There are experts across the globe, Japan, China, India, US, Europe, who are working on this, and their livelihoods depend on increasing food production. I'll not talk too much about that. The problem I will talk about is people who need the food. Somalia, deep Africa, Ethiopia. Small islands who are inaccessible. If you go around and tell them, oh, there's a cornflakes here, just pick up the packet and eat, chances are they would even not know about it. And the reason is that traditionally companies have marketed to where it's easy to market, easy to access. Technology and engineering together can change that paradigm. Today, engineering has taken us to the world, to the moon. We have space shuttles that act as tourists, possibly with SpaceX, then go back and come. Can we leverage a percentage of that technical knowledge to reach these remote areas? And as we reach these remote areas, can we load up these nutrition-rich, low perishable food items, processed food items to these areas? Yes. We know that today, before SpaceX, when a person went up in the space, they used to have packets of food that can last them for years, 8 years, for example. So the problem of packaging production has been solved through an engineering mindset. Now is the time for technologies to step in to create an equilibrium in this disbalanced supply and production environment. Today, with the power of blockchain technology, we can find out where there is more food supply, and through our local and geographic knowledge and experts in this panel who already work in these remote areas and understand malnutrition, can map the two to bring a gap. Once we bridge this gap, the ability to bring higher equilibrium of reaching the surplus supply in a process format to this world becomes a reality. The power of engineering plus technology. Food production. Very often when we talk about food production, it goes to the next point, which is consumption. I go back to my example of Ethiopia. If you go to Ethiopia and give them this thin slivered, sugar-coated cornflakes, chances are they're not even going to look at it. Because what becomes very important is understanding the cultural nuance of consumption. The local knowledge of how traditionally corn is eaten, consumed in what form. It becomes extremely important. So somebody living in Japan, maybe creating this kind of technology, cannot assume that Ethiopia will eat cornflakes. And so, again, the power of analytics, AI, and data to understand the cultural nuances and understand how corn is consumed in different areas in different ways, and therefore work backwards to your production system, which is an engineering problem. Campbell soup cans are a better solution for such problems than maybe a cornflakes. Maybe there's a third solution. And that's where the power of analytics and data comes into play. Data and analytics brings me to a very, very interesting point. I'd like to give you an example and this is an example a lot of people may have heard of earlier, about in the early 19th, let's say 60s. I'm getting my dates and timestamps wrong, but the example is relevant and real. A food scientist went to Ethiopia and discovered that due to poverty and the social structure, The whole society, which is about 200 people of village, each family had 5 to 6 children. Each of them had a small land of about an acre. The rich people had an acre of land, and they were growing farms. If on a year the crop perished, or for some reason did not give the kind of production that it did, it meant the 5 to 6 children are going to possibly stay hungry. He also noticed that despite them having this land and access to the production, most of the children and families were malnutritioned. He studied the food consumption habits of the families, and they realized that they used to eat or love or relish eggs. Egg was considered a festive item. We all know, because of our data and knowledge, that egg is one of the best sources of protein. And so the knowledge of culture and the fact that this is how the society, they need to feed lots of people, this food scientist came up with a very unique solution. He realized that Ethiopian families loved animal culture. So they used to have cows, they used to have hens. But the problem was the variety of hen they got produced one egg every week. What that meant was there was a scarcity of egg, and it was revered as a special item. This is where the food scientists found an opportunity. Understanding their culture, understanding access, he went and created a poultry where he grew, and I understand, again, I'm getting my numbers wrong, about 1,000+ chickens that looked very much like the Ethiopian chicken, which were brown and native, but were laying 5 eggs a week, which means 1 egg every day. This meant that the availability of protein increased 5 times. And if a farmer, an Ethiopian farmer, had about 5 chickens, he could every day feed his family, even though the crop failed, with a high protein nutritional diet. Why am I giving this example in a technology talk? This is because when this was done in the 70s, 1900s, this gentleman used his knowledge and his ability to understand culture, production, and the requirement together to create a very unique solution. The same logic of triangulated information can be and will easily be used in technology. Today, with the power of blockchain, I will know where are the remote locations which I can manage and reach. Through engineering, I can reach that location, ensuring that there is connectivity. And through the best practices across the globe of food preservation and food consumption, I can ensure that the people who are getting food are the ones who also need this. The imbalance of access and reach can be minimized. Food hunger and world hunger is not a problem that's easy to solve. But what it really needs is people like you and I to put our heads together, our unique capabilities and strengths together, to come up with unique, innovative solutions to help solve that. If I can send a person to the space and bring him back, I can surely get a packet of wholesome, nutrition-rich food to the people who need them. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think I'm out of my time. My timer is saying that. So
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Shefali, for that powerful and inspiring session. Thank you so much for all the support you have been giving to GCPIT. And now